What's going on, everybody? Doc Average Gamer guys back again. More Escape from Tarkov action, and it feels like it's been a little while since we did some Escape from Tarkov news. There was a Tarkov TV live today over on Twitch, so we're going to jump into it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to break this video essentially down into two parts. For those of you that want the information quick, I'm going to read through basically everything that we heard. I'm going to just give a very quick notes of it. I'm going to run down all the major subjects. That way you can basically get caught up for the about hour and a half or so Tarkov TV live that was done. And then we'll pause and we'll jump into, there's a handful of videos that I want to dive into. We'll explain a little bit more in detail. There's a few things that I picked up that I think are worth discussing. So we will talk about those, and we'll break a little bit of that down from what we saw today, actually live from what was shown. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so here's the down and dirty. I'm going to read my notes. I'm going to go as quick and fast as I can here, and that way if you want to leave the video after that, you're more than welcome to do that. So new matchmaking and launcher, intended to be faster, and it aligns, the launcher is going to align to allow basically for Escape from Tarkov and Arena in one launcher. So it's going to be 2 games. They scrapped Unity 21, too many bugs. They're going to Unity 2023 now. So that is not coming. That's off the slate, but Unity 2023 is on its way. Ground Zero, new location. Basically a beginner's location. They don't have it exactly worked out, but it's going to have a level cap on it. Nikita said anywhere between 15 and 20. It is basically going to be less loot. Your scav can always go there, but your PMC is going to be capped by level. It's basically in the center of Streets. It is not part of the Streets expansion. It is a completely separate map, focused around like the Terror Group HQ, and it's basically mini Streets is how it was described, which is good for those of us or those of you out there that may have really a lot of trouble running Streets. This is going to be essentially your opportunity to do that. Arena and the wipe early December. So they talked a little bit about Arena a few different times, but essentially they're going to roll it out in waves. Anybody that has the EOD version that pre-ordered it first is going to get it first. They're going to roll it out to be able to fix any like loading bugs and anything, overloads, server type things, and they're going to roll it out quickly after that. So it is going to come in waves. So some of your friends, if they ordered it before you, might be able to play it before you, but it should quickly roll out, and it is still slated for early December. At least the first portion of Arena. I did not get the impression that the full release is coming. Presets are going to be locked behind ranks. They did show that. Nikita played a couple of games, which was pretty cool. But presets, essentially, the better the gear, the farther it is down in the rank. So you got to rank up to be able to get that. BTR Taxi, it's coming to Streets, as has been talked about. It has some support functions, so it can move you from place to place. It can actually take out gear for you one time, and then it can do a support by fire function, all of which you can pay for. That's at least what was discussed. Second Streets boss, they named him. Don't know, can't say the name, but there's going to be another Streets boss. There's going to be a Shoreline update. This is all with the December patch, by the way, which is also going to include a wipe. I should have said that up front. But Streets boss and a Shoreline update. Not sure what that update's going to look like. They said nothing about it, but there's going to be a Shoreline update, so that could be cool. Vaulting, it's happening. And later on in this video, we're going to show a vid. We'll talk through that. They're currently in-house playtesting it. It's going to roll out to ETS, I believe, it's already on ETS. Not super clear on that detail, but they're playtesting it. Armor rework, another video we'll break down quite a bit to take a look at here. But essentially, they've shown this off before. It's going to be different armor zones, different plates, new colliders, new hit zones to the body. They're reworking a whole ton of that. There's going to be soft armor and the actual plate armor too. So essentially the plate carrier and the plates, separate items. It looks like at this point, there's a video. We'll show it. It's going to be a lot. It's going to be interesting. EOD, essentially whenever the timer for EOD runs out, they're not selling it anymore. That doesn't mean the EOD edition is going away. It just means that you can't purchase that version of the game anymore with all its perks. If you have it, you have the perks, you're going to keep it. Don't worry. Recoil rework. They actually showed this in the video that they talked about left shoulder, transition, and blind fire. So those two things, it actually looks pretty decent in my very, very fast opinion. but a total recoil rework. They're still working on it. They're going to roll this out to ETS before December, get feedback on it, and continue to tweak it before we get to that point. We talked about left shoulder transition, new blind fire animations. We'd seen a little bit of this before. This was much more refined, looked pretty good, so I thought that was pretty cool. They're rolling out achievements, actual achievements that don't reset with each wipe, so they're not going to be like quests. They're going to be quests, but they're going to be achievements. You do them once, you keep them forever. Every new wipe or every new patch or whatever, they're going to include some additional ones. They scrolled through, I think like 40 or so, 30 or so. It was all basically like boss eliminations and survives and PMC kills. So it wasn't anything groundbreaking up front, but it was pretty cool. And they're going to, again, something that's going to be persistent through wipes, which is pretty neat. It's also going to show on your viewable player profile now, which you can essentially click on any of your friends. You can check out their profile. There's a video that showcases the ability to showcase weapons with their full mods. So if you build the weapon rack, you're going to be able to put a weapon rack in there, click on it to show it as part of your profile. If your friends check it out and say, hey, I really like this build, they can essentially save the preset from that. So it's just a quality of life thing, easier way to share builds and things like that. Thought that was pretty cool. In addition to achievements, you're going to be able to see all that, stats, and things like that. So that's actually pretty dang neat. Inside of that, they didn't mention this, but there's a scav stat screen. I will show this actually. It's already built into the game. We just don't have access to it yet. So I will show that here a little bit later. Lightkeeper support functions, very similar to the BTR. Lightkeeper, you're going to be able to do some stuff with. You're going to be able to have Sriracha support in your Lighthouse raid. You're going to be able to have essentially friendliness with the cultists for a period of time, or rogue support as well as you're on the Lighthouse location. So you can pay for all those things. Not sure how that's going to work, but could make for some very interesting raids depending on how that looks. Hideout additions. There's going to be like a new area to the hideout where you can essentially like show off things, like a trophy room kind of. That's the vibe I got. It was explained not super well, but that's what we got. Just like you have presets for gear, presets for mags. So if you load half your mag or alternating one tracer with one regular round, so on and so forth, whatever, you're going to be able to do presets for mags. That way you can load your mags essentially with a single click or 2 clicks, which is super nice. And then, as always, new guns, new gear, couple of new guns, RPKs coming. The Sig Spear is coming. I have a Sig Spear in real life, SBR. It's amazing. I shoot that gun all the time. That will be the only gun that if I can get my hands on it and it's early in the trader level, I will be running it probably every raid, if it doesn't suck, which I hope it doesn't. And new gear, helmets, backpacks, some other things. Obviously, with the new guns is going to come attachments, sights, you know, that whole stuff. That is the very fast, very quick version. Although it was a lot. It was a lot. So what I do want to do is I'm going to pull up a couple of things that I do want to showcase here and talk through in a little bit of additional detail. I'm going to pull up a couple of videos, play through that, talk through them, and go through that. But the first thing I want to talk about, because it's easy, is a stat screen. So I'm actually on my Escape account. If you're watching this, we do a solo standard playthrough. That's what this account is. I've got my wonderful alpha container. We also do a hardcore account, so shameless, selfless plug for myself and the content on the channel here. But interestingly enough, when you come to overall, essentially what they showed off, and you'll see this in the video, is that you have a PMC tab and a scav tab here. And essentially what they were able to do is click over into these individual tabs, and it showed all the same stats that we have. Then from a like player profile standpoint, they showed you basically clicking on yourself, and you could go in and you could view the profile, and you get basically like the top of this, you know, box here, the overall stats. You don't get like all the in-depth stuff, at least that we saw in the video, plus like the weapon builds and a few other things like the achievement bar here as well. So thought that was pretty cool. It's going to be pretty neat to be able to see your stats of, you know, the folks that you're friends with. In addition to, you are going to be able to go and check out and see how your scav is doing, and your overall tab will actually now, it looked like, be your overall tab between your PMC and your scav, which is pretty cool. So with that, let's jump into the videos here. So what we have in this video here is the recoil and the left shoulder shooting. The couple of things that I just want to mention up front with this. First of all, the recoil, and Nikita specifically mentioned this, essentially them working on reducing or eliminating that first couple of shot bump. He called it out specifically. I think that's one of the things from a recoil perspective that a lot of folks do not like. This looks like a little bit more camera shake to me, but also looks like a little bit more just back and forth movement. And he specifically used the terms and talked about it being more consistent, I guess, is maybe a bad way of describing. And I think this right here kind of showcases how you're going to get a little bit of up and down and back and forth. So you're going to be able to spray kind of in those like circular type patterns, but I actually thought that was pretty cool. And then you have this left shoulder handling, which is pretty neat. So I like this. I think this is going to be an interesting mechanic. It will be interesting to see kind of how it is played out and how it is used. But I think it could make, you know, the left hand peek a little bit better. The other thing that I want to just highlight here that I think is kind of cool is this is the new blind fire animations. So much more usable. You're able to really stay behind cover. And I think this right here is a great opportunity to show how it is going to be used, where you can essentially, you know, put that suppressive fire and maybe even get those kills. All right, so the next video we have is achievements. It pops here in the bottom right-hand corner, as you're going to be able to see. You get silence from the sawmill. This is pretty cool. I think this is one of the good steps forward in terms of, you know, folks having something. We have a new achievements tab, and again, you're going to get a scroll through here to be able to see. Like I said at the upfront portion of this video, a lot of this I took the time to pause, and you can do the same. But it's basically kill the bosses, you know, kill 100 times, eliminate every boss without dying, kill bosses each 1 time or 15 times, extract a certain number of times. Here's what I was talking about with the screens. As I showed earlier, you're gonna have an overall, a PMC, and a scav screen, and your achievements there, which is pretty neat. I think the achievements part is pretty cool, because again, we've all been asking for, anybody that's played this for a while has been asking for the opportunity to have something where you can have some persistent things, some persistent stats, and things like that. And achievements seems like a good step forward for us to be able to do that. This, they're showcasing the ability to display these weapons in the profile. So this doesn't do a fantastic job of being able to show the achievements, but they're going to show somebody else here that has some. So you're going to go down to your friend, you're going to view their user profile, and this is what's going to show up. This part is pretty cool. This is yourself. Again, you get some very baseline achievements, or not achievements, achievements and some statistics, as you can see up top. Handful of weapons. There's a little bit of ability to scroll as well, so I'm not sure what else is going to be shown beyond that. But you take the shotgun, for instance, here. You are viewing this from your friend. You're going to be able to go in and actually save this preset. That's really cool. If you have a really good build, and you and your friends are playing a lot, this is going to be a great way to showcase that, in addition to having some cool stuff that you can show off as part of your kit. All right, and here's the new Ground Zero overview. So it looks like a pretty cool portion of the map. Again, Nikita talked about this being essentially like Terror Group's HQ after it's run down. The whole premise of Ground Zero is essentially this is your starting location, hence the level cap. Again, they did talk about level 15 or level 20 were the two that Nikita threw out there. They're still kind of playing around with what they want this to be. It is going to be a lesser loot area, so essentially an ability to get your kind of feet under you, but after you hit that level cap, you will not be able to travel here with your PMC any longer. You can, however, travel here with your scav at any point. So that's kind of an interesting dynamic. I'm not sure if they will change that. Did not sound like it. But essentially, as you can tell here, if you're familiar with Streets, it's a mini Streets. It's definitely got some new locations and some unique locations, but it does have a lot of similarities to a few of the different locations. And then most importantly here, if I can pause it, this is the total map overview. So you get a good idea. There's a handful of exits. Nikita talked about it being quite small. It doesn't look like super small. I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity to explore, but it does give you a good perspective that this is going to be one of those smaller locations. So be interesting to see what we can get done here and kind of the uniqueness of this map. I do like the idea of it being essentially a level capped map for you to be able to go into, have some fun, get in some early PvP, do some things like that, where everybody's going to be somewhat relatively similarly geared. I think level 15 makes a whole lot of sense because once you hit that, you have access to the flea market, and that can be a little less restrictive in terms of what you can bring in. So I think that would be a good place to start, pending any changes that they do, which they did not mention, but pending any changes that they do, and if that shifts at all. So could be pretty interesting. Looks like a pretty neat map and an opportunity to get a little bit of streets without having to actually go to streets. All right, and here's our first look at vaulting. And honestly, from the first time they showed this to now, this is a huge improvement. Nikita did mention that there is going to continue to need to be some tweaks to some different obstacles and things inside of the game, but basically this is a working feature at this point. It looks really good. I will tell you the speed, I think, was a concern for a lot of folks in terms of how fast you were going to be able to do this, and this looks pretty smooth. The animation looks nice, but more importantly, it looks like you're going to be able to do this pretty quick. I think it showcases it here, just upcoming, you're moving quick. You got through that window pretty fast. You're in this firefight, you're trying to get to that. Quick hop over. You do have a little bit of the animation, so it is going to take a piece of that, but I think this is a pretty unique look, and this is pretty cool here, jumping over that balcony. So I like this. We'll see where this one goes. Okay, this is our first look here at the new armor zones. You're going to see that there are two essentially sections of armors on this Team Wendy Exfil helmet. He's shooting the top and then the nape, both with separate sections. We're going to see this similar thing with essentially all of the new plate carriers and or armors in the game are going to have separate plates. Now, I'm going to freeze this here really quick because I want to showcase a couple of things. First of all, the things that are highlighted with backgrounds of blue, this is the changeable armor. Now, what's not clear is if we're going to be able to put different types or levels of armor plates in here. I would imagine that we could, or we may not, based on the type of armor plate and what else is going on here. But do keep that in mind. You have your durability points, as you can see, X out of X. In addition, it might be hard to tell, but this is a new Roman numeral number 4. So it is going to showcase what level these plates are in addition to it. What's also interesting is everything grayed out, essentially, and we will see this later on in the video, these are the things that cannot be changed. This is essentially the soft armor built into the rig itself. What's interesting, and what will be kind of unique and dynamic here going forward, is as this is introduced and we roll over to this model, even if you don't have the armor plates, this was showing all armor of like level 2. So you are still going to have some level 2 armor. Obviously, if you throw the plates in here, you're going to have level 4. What's interesting is this soft armor still covers these zones. So it's going to be interesting to see how weapons and ammunition and their pen values work with essentially a level 2 stacked on top of a level 4 armor. That is something that way back in the day we had seen with different armor rigs and how it was built. And the TTK was much slower back then, which maybe not where we want to go now, but it could be very interesting to see how this is going to play. It also raises a lot of questions of how are you going to be able to repair these plates versus the actual, fabric armor itself, durabilities, how's that going to work? How much money is this going to cost as well is something that I am considering. And I wouldn't imagine that you can swap these out in Raid, but you may be able to. I also am curious to see what changes from a weight perspective. Now, I don't know this digital flora off the top of my head if it normally is 11.5, but I sure do hope that they are keeping these armors similar weights. Obviously, if you upgrade to maybe heavier or better plates, that can cost you a little bit of weight and movement speed and mobility and things like that. But this is just kind of interesting to note. You're going to see this similar thing with a lot of the other armors inside of this category. Now, the other thing that Nikita very specifically mentioned is that there's new colliders for all of this. So you're going to see, again, in these different armors, he's getting shot right here in the groin. These points are going down, and that is going to be the area that the PMC is affected by. Now, he didn't specifically say if there's going to be any new kind of hitboxes in terms of the player model. Obviously, there's some different things that they're taking a look at. What's going to be really interesting is getting used to seeing 265 out of 265 or 243 out of 243 armor points here. But again, they're going to highlight, they're going to showcase this. Again, bullet Built-in armor components cannot be changed, right? So you have its class 2, what type of material it is, and then obviously its durability. This is for the neck piece specifically. It's going to showcase a couple of different things here with all the soft armor. Then the different type of plates. Again, these are individual items with individual statistics. So movement speed, turn speed, ergonomics, the material, obviously the armor class and what it covers. This talks about this being an armored steel plate for torso front pouch of a Russian plate carrier. So can this fit in any Russian plate carrier? Is it going to be specific? Nikita did talk about this being a little bit more difficult in terms of understanding and a little bit more complex, but obviously it is very, very close to real life, if not spot on for a lot of these things. So do keep that in mind. It will be interesting again to see what can we actually swap out and what can we swap these different plates into, and how can that kind of affect play styles. Could be really interesting to see. One other thing I want to note, they will highlight and showcase here that on the front screen for the armor, I believe they'll do it with this one. When they highlight over the armor areas, you can see what it's covering here in armor areas. And then it's also going to break out the armor points by the different classifications. So you have level 3 armor for all of this. You have level 4 armor for these locations as well. And that's going to be a combination of, again, what's built into the armor and the rig itself versus the plates that you're able to throw in there. And again, similarly here for the helmets, they did specifically talk about some additional things for the Team Wendy helmets as well that will be coming with the new gear and the new guns. All right, so we're back. Those are the videos I wanted to show. Sorry if the quality is not super spot on, but having to pull them from Twitch and then do the whole thing, you guys and gals understand that. There's a ton here. Things I'm most excited about and things I'm most surprised about. It seems like, again, a lot of focus on quality of life, and we've seen that over the last couple of major updates and patches. A lot of quality of life, a lot of things focused on getting you into the raid faster. Weapon presets, armor presets, they're working on, again, the new matchmaking and the launcher, all focused on getting you back into the raid. The mag preset thing as well. It seems like there's a big focus, and they've at least heard and understand that we don't want to sit in our stash playing the Tetris game. We want to get back into the raids. That part and what I saw here from all of the things that we're seeing, pretty cool. I'm also really excited for some of the additional things that we're going to see. I'm always excited about map updates. I'm excited for the new Ground Zero, the new Shoreline update, whatever that's going to bring, and then obviously updates to streets with the taxi, the streets boss. That is going to be a just huge amount of content. I'm excited for new guns and gear and all that stuff. We'll figure that stuff out as it comes. Some of the stuff that we've been using will probably continue to be really good. I'm a little nervous, although what I saw initially from Recoil looks pretty good. I think if it's similar to that, and I do hope that they get some good quality testing on the ETS server before rolling it out. If it's similar to that, I think that's going to be something that a lot of folks can live with, and also still allows for good skilled players to make use of it without it feeling just, kind of all over the place, or needing to get your skills crazy high in order to make it feel fun. And that's important. Certainly excited about Arena. I'm excited about achievements actually as well, and what they're going to do with that. It would be really cool to see some achievements tied with some type of cosmetics that maybe carry over from Wipe. They did not mention that, but I can see that kind of continuing to move that forward. That's been something that's been talked about quite a bit, which is pretty cool. I'm really nervous about BTR support functions and Lighthouse support, and what that's going to do for raids. If you end up getting to a point where you can buy and purchase that stuff, imagine you can go in and call rogue support literally every time you go to the lighthouse, and it's a couple of rogues that basically just flank around you and shoot anybody that gets close to you. That might not be super fun for a lot of folks. I hope there's some type of cap or limit or something around being able to do that. Same thing with the BTR taxi. Kind of cool. It can move you from spot to spot. Support functions, though, like the suppressive fire that they mentioned, gives me a little bit of angst, especially since we don't have a great way at this point to take the BTR on, right? I think that's going to be an important piece when we can fight back to some of these things. I think that's pretty cool. I'm surprised that they're scrapping Unity 21, but at the same time, I'm not happy that they're going to Unity 2023, as long as it helps for a smooth process for the game, and that's pretty neat. Vaulting looks good. I'm actually surprised. Vaulting looks pretty good. I think it's going to be a nice addition. It's going to be interesting how it actually feels when we get our hands on it. But from what we saw in the video, it looks pretty clean. It doesn't look like they did a whole lot in terms of making it like crazy. Just cool that you're going to be able to vault over some objects and maybe move over some of those frustrating things that we've had. I'm specifically thinking about interchanging the guardrails. So it's going to be really interesting and fun to move through that map a little bit more fluidly. And I think it doesn't need to be faster, but more fluid movement would certainly be something that helps in this game. And yeah, there's a lot here. There's a ton coming in early December. They kept talking about that, or December sometime. They called the New Year's Eve patch. So get ready for that. Still plenty of time to enjoy, but we're probably a good month plus away from this thing happening. If anything is to be repeated from the past, it's gonna happen right before or right after Christmas. Seems to be the time frame for a lot of this. Between Christmas and New Year's seems to be like the pretty consistent time frame that they've done this in the past. I think we've seen it maybe post New Year's once. I'm just trying to remember, but it's all right around in that time frame. So really excited to get hands on with Arena, excited to have a fresh new year with Escape from Tarkov. They did talk about the cheater situation a little bit and some things that they're working on. They didn't go into any kind of depth for that, which is to be expected, but hopefully they're going to make some progress from that piece. But I'm just excited about what we're going to be able to see. More locations, more new stuff, things to explore, good content, and a whole ton, seems like, again, a whole ton of UI and just quality of life related things for this upcoming patch and wipe and everything like that. So if you got a chance to check it out, drop in the comments anything that I did miss. Hopefully this was informational and helpful for you. I tried to give you a lot up front. If you stuck around for this back half and some of my analysis, if you will, I do very much appreciate that. I'm going to flash some socials, like, comment, subscribe. I did the shameless plug up front here, but we do have a hardcore and an escape series running, which is a solo standard playthrough again, which is the account that we're on currently, and I'm having a lot of fun doing those. I'm honestly not even playing my main account that much. I'm really enjoying hardcore and really enjoying a solo standard account playthrough, which is cool. I think I've just kind of been burnt out with the Kappa grind on my main account. We've gotten at the last like 7 or 8 wipes, and I'm okay. I'm just focused on the content and the videos that we're doing every week. So if you're interested in any of that, be sure to check that out. And yeah, like, comment, subscribe, share this, get out the good info. If you have any questions on anything that I talked about, feel free to drop those in the comments below. Love to chat with folks down there and hear what you're excited about as well, if you want to throw that down there. So with that, I'll close it out. Doc Average Gamer, guys, as always, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next Escape from Tarkov video. Peace.